So greetings to you, all my subscribers and viewers from across the length and breadth of Africa, and an extended greetings to you that watches my episodes from the USA, from the UK, Canada, Italy, and the rest of the world. I see you. Your support is what's giving me the fire to work hard and to bring you the very best at all times. Thank you, and for those who are yet to subscribe, I urge you to do so, as I have just crossed over 5,000 subscribers since I started on this journey from last year. Thank you so much. I couldn't have done that without you. And now, there is a lurking issue on the continent that is definitely going to strike at us someday, and I suspect it could come sooner than later. Currently, Africa has 54 sovereign countries fully recognized by the United Nations. But don't be surprised to hear that the number of countries in Africa in the next few years has increased. Don't forget that 20 years ago, African countries weren't this number. I mean, the number of African countries weren't 54, and the population wasn't as big as compared to our over 1.2 billion people we have currently. So what's the story behind this likely increment and what's causing it? Well, that's what we have in today's episode, so let's get into it. There are quite a number of schools in Africa today that still uses this particular map of Africa. Take a look at it carefully. This map is not the most recent map of Africa in 2024. The recent map of Africa, according to the country borderlines, has South Sudan, which was a part of Sudan, divided from Sudan as of July 9th, 2011. And take a look at all these many flags listed on Wikipedia as separatist groups in different countries in Africa. Now, popular among these groups are the Tigray Independence Party of Ethiopia, the Biafra of Nigeria, and the Cape Republic of South Africa, and then the Ambazonia of Cameroon. They share one thing in common, ladies and gentlemen. They all want independence. But my first few questions I'm curious to ask is why? Why are these groups looking to break away from the main countries now? What's necessitating this push? And is this something that Africa as a whole should support or should stamp out? Take, for instance, the Tigray Independence Party in Ethiopia. They are just one out of 4 separatist movements in Ethiopia. Then the Biafra of Nigeria, which is the Igbos and other states, including the Delta and Co. Now, why do we constantly hear of their move to break away from Ethiopia or Nigeria? If you randomly engage at least 5 Igbo Nigerians in the streets of Accra today, you are very confident to have at least 4 out of the 5 who will preach you reasons why it's necessary for them to break away from Nigeria, the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And now we are hearing the Cape Republic of South Africa being led by the Boers. And for those who don't know who the Boers are, they are the white South Africans, the white South Africans with Dutch and German descent who have settled in South Africa for close to 400 years. And that's a long period of time. And as it stands now, there already is a town called Orania, and a lot of people don't know. There already is a town called Orania where it's only white people who live and work, situated inside the Northern Cape province of the country. They print their own money. I'm speaking about this Orania. They print their own money, they run their own banks, they manage their own affairs. But the surprising thing is that if you live in South Africa, at least for me, I never heard a South African talk about them or even mention that town's name to begin with. The ordinary South African generally don't care about what they do there. But now, the Boers, which actually mean farmers in the Afrikaans language, and interestingly, surprisingly as a matter of fact, a lot of black folks, including other minority indigenous tribes, have all joined in to demand the freedom of the Western Cape. And that is happening actually in South Africa. And when you follow up on their reasons why this particular political group wants the freedom of that province in South Africa, you hear them talk about discrimination and a lack of economic opportunities and mismanagement of the South African economy and other social issues. Ladies and gentlemen, these are things they commonly talk about. Just take a look at this.
On a blistering summer's day, they're calling for the Western Cape province to split from South Africa.
And I'm supporting the Cape Independence movement today, being part of this march, trying to free my nation, to free my customs and my culture, because under the DA and the current ANC governments, I don't think they actually have anything or any plan in place.
Today I would like to invite you all to stay I would like to invite you all to make a difference, to make history in this country.
So what's going on in Africa, ladies and gentlemen? Because when you take a look at the Anglophone part of Cameroon as well, the Ambazonia are expressing same problems with the central government of Cameroon and are hence looking for an exit. That is the English-speaking part of Cameroon. And if you remember, it was a similar thing that continued in Sudan and broke into a conflict until they finally had to be divided in two. Just when you thought Africa was making strides by coming together, then you hear of the cracks within that's threatening the sovereignty of individual countries. Is it an acceptable condition to have a part of a country break off due to historical or political or economic reasons? Or is it better to maintain a united front and work towards resolving our differences together, ladies and gentlemen? I personally will always choose to be united because in unity is strength. But these and many more are the questions we all have to find answers to. And I don't think it's helpful to sweep them under the carpet. And so, after my research into the increase of separatist movement on the continent, these are three things I've come to understand about the whole conundrum of the matter. And you need to hear it. Number one, I've come to the realization that maybe not all African countries can or are willing to undergo democracy. Have you thought about that? I have genuinely come to this realization after a few facts, and I'll give you just one of them here. But if you ask for my personal opinion on this, I'll choose democracy 5 times on weekdays and twice on weekends. Now, in my study, I've realized that when you read into the history of certain tribes and the formation of their countries, it is understandable to see how they struggle with practicing democracy because it doesn't resonate with their culture and values. Let me explain that. These are cultures and values that predates the coming of the colonizer and has been deliberately preserved by their generations, and I mean deliberately. Some of these cultures, to the people who practice them, are of more value to them than the country's constitution. These are real facts in different places in Africa. There are places in Africa where the people don't deal with government agencies at all, unless, of course, it has to do with some few isolated cases like murder. They literally just live their lives in compliance with their customs, and everybody just follows through. In such a customary setup as such, it is pretty difficult to move the people towards accepting democracy, especially when they are not interested in formal education. I'll leave it here as it is. My second observation is that maybe power should rotate or be disintegrated to make people feel included. Sometimes when the size of government is so big and yet the people feel so distant from the center, it leaves room for concession building among the tribes. When the people are left to depend on their own tribal leaders to resolve their challenges, it most likely devoid the people of any real interest in the nation as a unit. And besides, many times, democracy has proven not to always predict development. And the Middle East is an example to the whole world in that aspect. My third and final observation has to do with the ultimate aim of the West in keeping us divided. For as long as we stay divided, they are likely to dominate us individually. This has always been their agenda and shall continue until they put their hands on everything that they so desire. So what then do we do knowing all these? In the process of reducing these types of social and political movements and holding firm the principal foundation for the formation of the African Union. Because first, we were united in fighting a common enemy, who is the colonizer. But now, we are divided and fighting among ourselves. This is a fact. And to me, there is no greater achievement for this continent than for a united Africa, where someday we can all be proud to share at least a common currency with all borders opened, where there will be no need for an African to enter an African country with a visa. That's where our focus should be at all times, in my opinion. For if they divided and conquered us in the past, they are most likely to maintain that winning strategy. And we cannot be naive to think that they are supporting these groups because they actually care, because they don't. It is always about having access into our continent and protecting their interests after they've put their hands on it. AU should be up and working on resolving these type of issues before they get out of hands. Thank you so much for taking time off your busy schedule to watch my today's episode. I'll come your way again pretty soon. But until then, God bless you. And remember to subscribe if you haven't. Like and share and leave a comment, most especially. to help my channel grow. Thank you and God bless you. I promise to always work hard and bring you quality content. I'll see you soon. It's bye-bye for now.